Sources close to the team suggest Jimmy Haslam is pulling strings behind the scenes, subtly reshaping public perception and internal dynamics to clear a path for Sanders. And he's doing it before Sanders has even taken a snap. What was once Gabriel's team now feels like a waiting room for a new quarterback era. What's unfolding is not just a personnel decision, it's a masterclass in narrative control. The Browns are executing a calculated strategy to transition to Sanders, led by Haslam's top-down influence and amplified by media voices and selective leaks. Analysts like Mary Kay and Rex Ryan are shifting their tone, the coaching staff is being edged out of decision-making, and Gabriel's every misstep is magnified. Sanders hasn't been named the starter, but the groundwork is being laid.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
This isn't a controversy. It's a plan, and it's already in motion. Jimmy Haslam is done playing games. The leaks are out, and the message is crystal clear. The Browns are making moves behind the scenes to prep Shedeur Sanders as their future quarterback, and Dillon Gabriel? He might already be out of the picture. What started as subtle shifts in tone from analysts and insider chatter has now become a full-blown strategy. The Cleveland Browns aren't just experimenting with depth chart placements or throwing around praise in passing interviews. This is coordinated, tactical, and very, very telling. Because when the team starts clearing space around one guy while tightening the leash around another, it's not random. It's writing on the wall. At the center of it all, Shedeur Sanders. The buzz around him has gone from cautious optimism to strategic spotlighting. According to insider sources, the Browns are actively reshaping the public narrative to cast Shedeur as not just a viable option, but the future. And behind it all is Jimmy Haslam, pulling the strings and pushing a very clear agenda. Develop Shedeur, sell his leadership potential, and fast-track his transition into the starting quarterback role. This isn't just about hyping a backup. It's a long-term chess move that's already shifting how the team operates, from coaching dynamics to how the media covers every snap. And it's coming at a very inconvenient time for one Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel, who was once seen as a possible solution for the Browns' quarterback woes, is now finding himself under a different kind of microscope. And it's not flattering. Analysts like Mary Kay Cabot have been raising eyebrows about his performances in pressure situations. His ability to close out games? Questionable. His command in high-stakes moments? Inconsistent. And in a league where clutch performance defines careers, those criticisms aren't just commentary, they're nails in a narrative coffin. The team isn't openly benching him or slashing his reps yet, but the energy is shifting. You can see it in the commentary from analysts like Rex Ryan, who's already pointing to Shedeur as a potential successor. You can hear it in the way media conversations have pivoted. Gabriel's name is now more associated with struggles than starter. Meanwhile, Shedeur? He's being framed as developing and gaining traction. And it's no accident. Sources suggest the Browns are intentionally clearing the way for Shedeur, working behind the scenes to control the conversation and clean up any negative noise around him. It's about setting the stage, reputation-wise and roster-wise, for a future where Shedeur is leading the charge. Not maybe. Not if. When. It's a bold play and it's happening quietly until now. Let's talk about the leaks. They aren't random slips. These are carefully placed pieces of information that serve a purpose. Build Shedeur up, soften Gabriel's standing, and test the waters of public reaction. It's a classic PR maneuver. Shift the spotlight slowly. Let the audience adjust. And then drop the hammer when the timing feels right. That hammer might be coming sooner than expected. The organization is reportedly already evaluating backup options, not because they're unsure of Shedeur, but because they want to ensure his eventual transition doesn't feel rushed or chaotic. In other words, they're planning for a future where he takes over, and they want that takeover to feel inevitable. And honestly, it kind of already does. Gabriel's most recent performance didn't help his case either. After a rough loss, his on-field decisions and post-game comments drew heavy criticism. It wasn't just that he struggled, it was how he handled the aftermath. The scrutiny came fast, and the contrast to Shedeur's growing media polish couldn't have been starker. Now, to be clear, Gabriel isn't being scapegoated without cause. The Browns aren't just tossing him under the bus for drama's sake, but they are playing the long game. And in that game, every public comment, every subtle analyst take, and every post-game breakdown serves a purpose. This is about creating conditions, creating a narrative arc. One where Shedeur's rise feels earned, even though it's very much orchestrated. And that's the part you can't ignore. The Browns are crafting this. Intentionally. Meticulously. They're not just waiting to see if Shedeur turns into something, they're helping shape him into the face of the franchise. Public perception matters, especially in a league like the NFL where confidence, locker room dynamics, and media pressure all swirl together into something way bigger than talent alone. And the Browns get that. That's why they're managing this rollout like a branding campaign. From insider leaks to analyst nods, they're giving Shedeur space to grow, while slowly pulling the rug out from under Gabriel. It's calculated. And it's effective. You have to think about what this means for the locker room too. When the franchise starts showing favoritism, even subtle, players notice. Coaches notice. Morale shifts. And if Gabriel sees the writing on the wall, it's hard to imagine that doesn't affect his performance even further. That's the risk the Browns are taking. If Gabriel implodes under the pressure, fine, they have Shedeur waiting. But if Gabriel somehow rallies and outperforms expectations, it puts management in a tight spot. Still, that doesn't seem to be worrying Jimmy Haslam. He's playing the long game. The focus isn't just on this season or the next couple games. It's on building a stable, marketable, and reliable face of the team. Shedeur checks those boxes, especially if the Browns can keep controlling the story around him. And to be fair, this isn't unprecedented. NFL teams do this all the time. They groom quarterbacks quietly, manage expectations, then shift the narrative right when the timing feels right. What makes this different is just how transparent it's becoming, without the team actually saying anything out loud. Everything is happening through proxy, leaks, media framing, and performance analysis. And it's working. The buzz around Shedeur is no longer just potential. It's preparation. That's a big shift. The Browns are betting big on development, not desperation. They're not throwing Shedeur in just because Gabriel fumbled a few opportunities. They're easing the transition, trying to avoid another quarterback carousel disaster. And honestly, it's smart, if it works. But let's not pretend there's no pressure. If Gabriel collapses and Shedeur steps in too early, before he's fully ready, this whole narrative management plan could backfire. And the Browns know it. That's why everything feels so calibrated. Like a slow burn with a very specific destination. The long-term vision here is about more than just winning games. It's about franchise identity. And right now, Shedeur is being molded into the guy who'll carry that identity forward. From cleaning up his public image to ensuring he's seen as a leader in training, every step is part of a bigger blueprint. And the more the team leaks, the clearer that blueprint becomes. So yes, it's over for Dillon Gabriel, at least in terms of being the Browns' future. Whether that's fair or not is up for debate. But in the NFL, perception often outweighs patience. And Curating Sanders is being set up to be more than just a backup. He's being groomed for the spotlight, coached for leadership, and positioned as the solution. All of this makes one thing abundantly clear. The Browns aren't waiting for the future to arrive, they're designing it themselves. And that future? It has Curating Sanders written all over it. If you're watching this saga unfold, drop your take in the comments. Do you think Shedeur is ready, or is the Browns' strategy a gamble waiting to blow up? And if you want more breakdowns of the NFL's wildest power plays and off-field chaos, hit that subscribe button. This ride is just getting started. Here's the thing, whether or not you believe Curating Sanders is ready right now almost doesn't matter. The Browns have decided he will be. That's the part people keep missing. This isn't about a competition between two quarterbacks fighting it out in training camp. This isn't even about performance metrics anymore. It's about investment, image, and a carefully managed narrative push that's turning into a full-blown strategy. Let's just call it what it is. The Shedeur era is being built in real time whether the public's fully on board or not. The front office knows exactly what it's doing. You don't orchestrate controlled leaks, soft-pedal negative stories, and elevate specific talking points in the media unless you're shaping something. And right now they're shaping a franchise around Shedeur. It's almost surgical in how it's unfolding. Every whisper, every carefully worded compliment from insiders, every shift in media tone. It's not a coincidence. It's a rollout. And as much as it might feel harsh to say Gabriel is already on the way out, it's not wrong. Because once the momentum shifts like this in the NFL, it rarely swings back. You can't unsee the narrative. And you definitely can't ignore the optics. Every time Gabriel stumbles, even slightly, it reinforces the storyline. Every time Shedeur holds a clipboard and smiles confidently from the sidelines, it reinforces the future. It's the unspoken quarterback countdown, and you can practically hear the clock ticking. The way the Browns are handling it? Quiet, controlled chaos. On the surface, it's just business as usual. but insiders are pointing to small changes that give the whole game away. Increased reps in practice. Slight changes in who gets highlighted in team pressers. More glowing language from coaching staff about Shedeur's poise and maturity. And don't underestimate what that language means. When teams start praising a backup's intangibles, it's usually because they're planting seeds. It's not just about skill, it's about story. And Shedeur's story is being shaped right now into something the fanbase can believe in. A future franchise QB with charisma, confidence, and a clean slate. A guy who can lead not just on the field but in press conferences, media days, and highlight reels. And that's where the Gabriel situation gets more uncomfortable. Because once the narrative shifts, it's not just your throws being judged. It's your attitude, your interviews, your leadership presence. And let's be honest, Gabriel's public image is taking hits. After that loss, the post-game comments didn't inspire confidence. It wasn't a meltdown, but it didn't land like a quarterback owning the moment. And that silence from the front office afterward? Deafening. There's no official statement, no public rebuke, no firestorm of support. Just a vacuum. And into that vacuum, the whispers about Shedeur keep getting louder. Rex Ryan wasn't just spitballing when he floated the idea of a QB transition. He's plugged in enough to know when the winds are shifting. And when a guy like Rex starts talking about a backup like Shedeur getting ready, it means those conversations are already happening in the background. No one says that on air unless they know something. The timing here is everything. The Browns are clearly playing the long game, but they're also not blind to opportunity. If Gabriel stumbles again in a key game, or if Shedeur impresses in even a limited snap count, the switch could happen fast. The groundwork's already there. The perception has been managed. And once a move like that is accepted by the fanbase, the rest falls into place. That's how quarterback eras begin. And we need to talk about Jimmy Haslam because his fingerprints are all over this. He's not a sit back and let things unfold kind of owner. Haslam moves with intent. And when he's backing a quarterback, when he believes a guy can be the face, he doesn't wait for the media to catch up. He pushes the agenda. He invests in the story, not just the stats. Which brings us back to why this whole operation feels so deliberate. It's not just that Shedeur is being developed. It's that his entire image is being curated. He's being lifted up as the Browns' answer to years of quarterback instability, and Gabriel, whether fairly or not, is being positioned as the bridge. Temporary. Disposable. A chapter, not the headline. That kind of narrative doesn't happen overnight. And it's not always announced. But when you see it unfolding like this, when insiders are all nudging the same direction and media voices are echoing the same tone, it's clear. The shift is happening now. And from a strategy standpoint, it makes sense. The Browns don't want another PR disaster on their hands. They don't want to toss Shedeur in unprepared and risk another meltdown under pressure. So instead, they're building him up slowly, making sure the fans, the locker room, and the analysts are all ready for it. So when the transition comes, it doesn't feel chaotic. It feels inevitable. And look, this doesn't mean Shedeur's guaranteed success. NFL development is messy. But the Browns clearly believe in his upside. They're willing to risk the tension with Gabriel, the questions from the press, even the internal pressure, because they see something in Shedeur worth grooming, worth managing, worth quietly reshaping the franchise for. And that's the part people keep underestimating. This isn't just a quarterback story. It's a franchise shift. A slow-burning torch pass that's being handled behind closed doors but is becoming more obvious by the day. There's risk, of course. If Gabriel suddenly pulls it together and puts on a run of elite performances, the Browns could be stuck with an awkward narrative and a divided fanbase. Or if Shedeur gets the nod too early and flops, the whole strategy looks arrogant and short-sighted. But Haslam's team clearly believes those risks are manageable. They're betting that Shedeur won't flop, that the timing can be controlled, that the public will go along with it, especially if Gabriel continues to deliver more questions than answers. And so we watch, because the next few weeks could be pivotal. Every game, every presser, every sideline shot. More data points in a story that's already being written behind the scenes. And barring a miracle turnaround from Gabriel, the conclusion feels more and more locked in. Curating Sanders isn't waiting for his opportunity. The Browns are clearing the runway for him. Gabriel? He's just trying not to get pushed off the edge while the cameras are still rolling. This isn't just a quarterback controversy. This is a full-blown power shift, and the Browns are navigating it like a covert operation. They're not panicking. They're not making a mid-season emergency switch. They're doing something far more calculated. They're erasing Dylan Gabriel in real time. Not by cutting him, not by calling him out. but by slowly turning the volume down on his narrative, while cranking it up on Shedeur's. Think about it. Just a few months ago, Gabriel was being sold to fans as the fresh shot, the hopeful fill-in after years of quarterback instability. He wasn't a superstar, but he had leadership potential, mobility, a strong college resume. There were flashes of promise. He could have been a guy. But in the NFL, promise has a short shelf life. Especially when you've got an owner like Jimmy Haslam behind the curtain, scripting your exit while everyone else is still trying to give you a shot. Now, every move Gabriel makes is under a microscope. Every hesitation, every missed throw, every shaky press conference, it all feeds into the same narrative loop. He's not the guy. He's not ready. He can't close. And whether that's fair or not, it doesn't matter. Because the Browns have already decided who their future belongs to. And it's not him. This is what narrative control looks like in professional sports. It's not always loud. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it's just a shift in who gets praised, who gets asked about in interviews, whose clips get shared in the team's highlight reels. And if you've been paying attention, you've already seen it happening. Curating Sanders is getting the spotlight, even without starting. The team is actively shaping how the public sees him. He's not framed as raw or developmental. He's framed as next, as upcoming, as the guy with the mental tools, the media charisma, the NFL DNA. And what's wild is how subtle it's all been until now. Insiders didn't just leak a possible quarterback transition for no reason. That kind of information gets out because someone wants it out. It's like sending a test balloon up into the media atmosphere. Let's see how the fans react if we float Shedeur as the future. And judging by the reaction, it's working. The public isn't pushing back. They're already leaning in. Why? Because the Browns have created space for doubt. Doubt in Gabriel's leadership. Doubt in his late-game performance. Doubt in his future. That's all it takes. A little hesitation. A little erosion of confidence. And now the door is wide open for Shedeur. And don't get it twisted, Shedeur isn't just a beneficiary here. He's part of the plan. The team isn't throwing him in as a Hail Mary. They're grooming him. Protecting his image. Slowly building a narrative arc that paints him as a smart, calculated future starter who just needs the right moment. You know what that means? They're not going to rush him. Because rushing him ruins the story. If Gabriel crashes and burns too early, it forces their hand. If they start Shedeur mid-season and he struggles, that kills the mystique. That's not how you crown a franchise quarterback. You don't throw him into chaos. You stage his arrival. You make it feel earned, inevitable, victorious. And that's what the Browns are doing now. They're laying the foundation so that when Shedeur does step up, it feels like the natural next step. The beginning of a new chapter. The guy you've already warmed up to, even if you didn't fully realize it. And let's be real, it's working because Gabriel's not doing himself any favors. The criticism about his inability to perform under pressure? That's not just salty sports talk. That's coming from analysts, insiders, teammates. The whispers are getting louder and the Browns aren't pushing back. They're letting it simmer. Because the lower Gabriel falls, the higher Shedeur can rise without resistance. But here's the danger. If the Browns miscalculate, if Gabriel suddenly pulls off a few clutch wins, or Shedeur turns out to be not quite there yet, the entire operation could backfire. You can't just repackage Gabriel after downplaying him for months. And you definitely can't throw Shedeur under the bus after building a media shrine around him. That's why this entire thing is such a tightrope walk. They're balancing internal development with external storytelling, trying to pull off a seamless quarterback transition in front of a fan base that's been burned too many times to trust easily. Because let's not forget, this is Cleveland. A city with a quarterback graveyard so crowded it might as well be a memorial. The fans want stability. They want someone to believe in. And the Browns know that. That's why they're selling Shedeur as something more than just a player. He's the new hope. The one they've been waiting for. Which is why the leaks are coming now. The team wants to build buzz without sparking backlash. They want fans to ask for Shedeur, so that when the switch happens it doesn't feel like a betrayal. Feels like a solution. And that's smart. Cold but smart. Because the NFL isn't just about winning games. It's about winning control. Of the story. Of the locker room. Of the future. So here we are, stuck in this bizarre limbo where Gabriel is still technically QB1 but spiritually, narratively, emotionally, he's already gone. And Curating Sanders is already in motion. This isn't a battle for the starting job. It's a handoff. A transition being executed through press leaks, public perception, and carefully curated praise. And unless Gabriel does something massive to rewrite the ending, that handoff is going to happen soon. You can feel it. So here's where we leave it. The Browns are playing a long game. And right now, the scoreboard isn't just about who's under center. It's about who owns the future. And all signs point to Shedeur Sanders. Drop your thoughts below. Is Cleveland jumping the gun, or are they finally getting the quarterback transition right? And if you want more drama-packed breakdowns like this, subscribe. Because with the NFL, the games are wild, but the off-field moves are even crazier.